Sing a walk on the wild side, that's a lifetime with me. I was born and raised in my father's house, can catching rain in the kitchen. He said a good song never comes to those who chase, no, it comes to those who listen. So I'd listen to him, waking up in the middle of the night. I know he thought we were sleeping, and with an old melody and a guitar in his hands, somewhere between dreaming and weeping, he'd sing a walk on the wild side, lasts a lifetime with me. Well, I grew up quick in my father's house. Mama, she gave him no daughters, just to look in the eye of a woman in need, to be free of love grown harder. So she hit the road in a Galaxy Ford, the one that my daddy had bought her. And she crossed the tracks, never looked back. She was humming this song he had taught her. Sing a walk on the wild side, lasts a lifetime with me. There was this big black trunk in my father's house, where he'd keep all the ledgers he'd write in. So I broke into it before I moved out, just to see if I could find out more about him. And there were letters written, never sent to my mom. Lord, it's a wonder it never killed him. And there were lines and songs and poetry, damn near as good as Hank Williams. Sing a walk on the wild side, lasts a lifetime with me. Now I'm making payments on my father's house, and I've patched up the holes in the ceiling. And he's moved out west to live with the best, with a restless heart still healing. Now I got me a wife and I got me some kids, and they're calling me out the back door, saying, come out and play, put that guitar away. Hey, what you singing that old song for? I sing a walk on the wild side, lasts a lifetime with me. So welcome to another episode of New Moon, New Music. And this time we're starting to talk about my dad, Wayne Scott. And he and his wife, Linda, built this house. And we added a lot to it over the years. But it started as sort of a ranch style. If you can picture a ranch style over there, instead of a roof like this, it was a kind of a flat roof. And so I wrote my father's house in that house, but it was also about that house. And talks a little bit about my dad writing songs in this song of my father's house. And it talks about that house, that's the house. And so I thought we'd start there. And this whole episode or two, we may even do 3, I'm not sure yet. We're just going to get started with it. And it's to talk about Wayne Scott, my dad, as an artist, as a recording artist, because I produced him to do that and put out a couple of records. One we've put out already back in 2005, you may know about it, called This Weary Way. And the other one that I recorded enough songs for 2 albums, but only released the one in his lifetime. And it's taken 20 years, and I don't have a good reason why it's taken 20 years. Just actually, I kind of have no idea. But finally finished it, and that's what we're now putting out for you to know about through this series. And it's going to be called Wayne's Pain. And it's the second recording or album, let's say, from back in the day. And Dad passed away in 2011. we probably recorded in roughly 2001, 2, 3, 4, somewhere around in there, and put the record out in 2005, I guess it was. But what I want to start with is a recording from 1967, my first recording ever. Probably my dad's and all my brothers too, or two of my brothers. So I'm going to play a song for you that was recorded in Gary, Indiana in 1967. I was on bass. I would have been 8 years old. My drummer brother Dale would have been 11 years old, and oldest brother Denny was 14 years old on electric guitar, and then my dad playing acoustic guitar. Let's start talking about Dad with that right there. Here we are from Gary, Indiana, 1967.
All your friends are gone, when you're not satisfied after you tried everything from right to wrong, I'll still be glad to take you back and claim you for my own. After your name's been slandered and shamed, then won't you please come home? If they make your life a picture for all the world to see, when all is said and you bow your head, won't you please remember me? I'll still be glad to take you back and claim you for my own. After your name's been slandered and shamed, then won't you please come home? So please don't wait that long. I'll tell a lie, 'cause I'd rather die than to tell 'em you went wrong. I'll still be glad to take you back and claim you for my own. After your name's been slandered and shamed, then won't you please come home?
So there you have Wayne Scott and Sons, as it says on the little 45 from 1967. My dad, being tobacco farming family, born in 1934, so basically during the Depression, but just before World War II. And so that was hard times in for everybody, really, but particularly for rural Kentucky. And tobacco farming, and just barely getting by kind of farming people. My dad had there were 12 in his family, 12 kids and a mom and dad. And Dad was born in a 2-room house in Scott Holler, Kentucky, and that's literally called that. It's still called Scott Holler. So I want to go ahead and get into Wayne's Pain, this second installment of recordings that I did in the early 2000s, this release called Wayne's Pain. And just quickly, I'll tell you Wayne's Pain, where that comes from, is my dad gave me for Christmas one year, I think it was about 1993, he had his wife Linda type, and I do mean type, it was long before computers, with the whiteout and the whole thing. She typed out Dad's lyrics that he had edited to be in this collection, and he called it Wayne's Pain, that collection of lyrics. Therefore, we're calling this Wayne's Pain. And the other thing I want to tell you about Wayne's Pain before we start hearing some songs from it is on this Wayne's Pain, the difference between Wayne's Pain record and this Weary Way is that I brought my brothers in for this second record, and I also brought my son Abraham in on this second record. So so it's 3 generations of Scots, if you can handle that triple Scott world there. But I think the record really reflects, how strong country music was for this family, basically. And so let's get right into it. The first song on the recording is called Doctor. We had a family doctor named Dr. Johnson in, basically then we were in Yucaipa, California, Southern California, near the San Bernardino Mountains. And he was our family doc, and Dad wrote this song about that doctor who was criticizing my dad anytime he'd go in for a checkup about that my dad drank too much and smoked too much. And then basically, as the song goes, Dr. Johnson died, and my dad outlived Dr. Johnson, and somehow Dad wrote this song about it. So check out Doctor.
Like the doctor told me, son, you let this go. Get yourself a pretty girl about 30 years old. Raise some little children, kinda sit back and watch them grow. That good doctor told me many years ago. Said cut down on your drinking and your smoking too. Mostly what I'm trying to say is, man, you're overdue. You singers live so hard and fast and always die so young. I said, doctor, my life had just begun. He told about a friend of his who drank a quart a day. He smoked a pipe and cigars and he was 88. Though I was insulted, I hoped he couldn't see. About to break that record, it belongs to me. On a Monday morning, just about dawn, I picked up the paper to see if I was gone. Old Doc's picture was on the 3rd page of the news. Said he had died yesterday alone. I thought, Doc, you're coming true. Said cut down on your drinking and your smoking too. Mostly what I'm trying to say is, man, you're overdue. You singers live so hard and fast and always die so young. I said, Doc, my life had just begun.
So there you go. He outlived Dr. Johnson. and wanted to crow about it in this song. Let me tell you some of the players I got, just like in the first record, This Weary Way. I used folks that I knew here in town, friends of mine, great players, and I knew they would understand my dad's music and be kind of thrilled to play with him. I had Dennis Crouch on bass. Dennis is our best, rooted in the old tradition, but also forward-thinking Dennis Crouch on upright bass. Dan Dugmore on electric guitar. You heard him there in Doctor. And he shows up throughout this recording as well. I guess that's me on the dobro playing in there and playing acoustic guitar as well. And then my brother Denny is on electric guitar in there, and my brother Dale Scott is on the drums on that song. And the next song I want to play for you is one that I did with just Dad and me alone. And actually we recorded it right there in that house. I had Miles Wilkinson come out with some equipment. The key to recording Dad, especially early on, was to make him comfortable. And the way to do that for me was to record him in places he knew. Well, he built that house, and we had lived in it, meaning me and my wife and kids, and Dad had moved out. I bought it from my dad, which I mentioned in that song, My Father's House. That's the house right there. Dad built that house, and we recorded some of it in there, like the duet with Guy Clark on the first record. It's the Whiskey That Eases the Pain, happened right there in that living room with about 7 of us recording at once. So this song called I Know What It's Like to Be Alone is just me and Dad playing in that house. Have a listen. 1, 2, 3.
I have walked along the seashore in the coolness of the night. I've counted every minute of every hour of the night. I've knelt at the altar as the night turned into dawn. I know what it's like to be alone. Yes, I know what it's like to be alone. How to walk another mile when love is gone. How to calm my troubled mind when I get stoned. Yes, I know what it's like to be alone. There's a picture of my little boy they left when he was 3. If he lives to be a man, I hope he never feels like me. The silence in this room tells me everything is gone. I know what it's like to be alone. Yes, I know what it's like to be alone. How to walk another mile when love is gone. How to calm my troubled mind when I get stoned. Yes, I know what it's like to be alone. Yes, I know what it's like to be alone.
Let's go hear that.
I didn't see nothing wrong with that neither.
So we are back and continuing with Wayne's Pain. And the next song is a song he wrote called Call of the Wild. That's the other thing you need to know. All these are his songs. We did do some covers, like on the first record, This Weary Way, we did Roy Acuff's Wreck on the Highway, great old song. And we did some covers in here. You'll recognize them as they come up. But just know that these are his songs. He was a songwriter, but he was a guy who would write, as a hobby or not as a professional. Let's at least say that. Meaning he never had a publishing deal. No one recorded his songs or anything like that. No one pitched his songs. I recorded It's the Whiskey That Eases the Pain on my first record. So I recorded his songs and my records have had things that he's written or that we've written together. So just know that he's written all these things. That's the important part. So this song is called Call of the Wild. And I don't think my dad ever read the Jack London book called Call of the Wild, but he knew the title. And he worked with it on this song. And in this song, you'll hear my brother Dale on, I guess it's just snare drum. Like the Opry for years didn't have drums, but they would allow a snare drum eventually. And so anyway, here's a snare drum from my brother Dale. We also had throughout both projects was Casey Dreesen on the fiddle. Casey's just one of the great fiddler, guys that we ever had walking into Nashville. Just multi-styles, and Casey's just fantastic. And Casey really understood my dad's old style of country music and brought, his fiddling towards that, and it was great. I could always count on Casey. So here's Call of the Wild, a little background of sorts on it. The song I thought was like one verse too short when Dad we were looking at songs to record back 25 years ago. This song, I liked it a lot. I thought there was, real reason to have it, except I felt it was one verse too short. And so I said, hey, Dad, can you write another verse to this thing? And understand that he had written the body of it probably 15, 20 years ahead of that time. And so sometimes in writing, when you go back to something that's that old, it's hard to get back into the mindset, the thread, the narrative, the flow of what you did, 2 decades earlier. But he did a great job of writing the last verse or bridge. It might be considered a bridge, but he added the last section because I asked him to, and he did it. And I think it blended really well. What it is, it's kind of, he takes a light version of it. When we were kids, it was a very serious version about what happened. But the decades had brought around more of a sense of humor about it, which was great. But generally the scene was, my parents married and divorced each other twice. So the time they were breaking up the first time, my mom really was living out of the house and had my youngest brother with her, and my dad had custody of not custody, but he did get custody eventually, but at this time we're just living with Dad. The boys are, the older 4 boys. And anyway, we had a Sunday afternoon where we got back together for, an afternoon, just to see how Mom and Dad would be together and if they were going to try to piece, the marriage back together. Anyway, when we pulled into our house after the date of all of us going out, the 5 kids and Mom and Dad, the person that Mom was seeing at the time followed us into our driveway. And basically a fight ensued between the 2 men. And so again, that was pretty serious, and it was gut-wrenching stuff actually. But take a note of the sort of light way that he writes about that exact scene. With 20, 30 years, to go to get to that. That's this last verse that Dad added into this Call of the Wild, where there's you can picture this fight of sorts. It really was just a scuffle, really. But that's the verse that Dad added into here because I asked him to do something, and this is what he came up with. Note in here also that my brother Denny Scott is on electric guitar, on this. Dale is on the drums again, or the snare, as I said. And the last solo is trading with Dan Dugmore and my brother Denny. Dugmore starts off, and Denny takes over, and then Dugmore gets it back, and then Denny gets back to the solo. So that's an interesting little sideline. So some of the brothers are right here in this track, and have a listen to "Call of the Wild."
Wild. Marriage is no longer her style. Got a feeling she'll be gone for a while. She answered the call of the wild. She didn't want to leave, I know. It hurt her so much to go. Her pain told her she could not stay. Wild blood just runs wilder every day. I sometimes understand her anyway. She answered the call of the wild. Twice my size. He laughed when I hit him between the eyes. I'd still be laying in that snow. Dale helped me to load that load of coal. Just stood around and watched them go. She answered the call of the wild. She answered the call of the wild. Marriage is no longer her style. Got a feeling she'll be gone for a while. She answered the call of the wild. She answered the call of the wild.
Next up is a song that my dad wrote, and it's a recitation. And recitation is sort of an old style of a song of sorts. Yes, country music had it, you know. Hank Snow had them early in his career. Red Sylvain later. Hank Williams did it as Luke the Drifter. So there's a real kind of tradition of, you know, you get away from singing and you now are just talking to the audience. And it's a very effective, theatrical, emotional way to put a song across or some narrative across. And so this is a recitation that my dad wrote. We had one on the first record, and I split those up. So I had a recitation on this Weary Way album, and I have the recitation on this one as well. And so it's Dad's writing, and it's just him, no other players. I didn't play anything. I just got Dad to do this, and this is what he came out with. It's him. It's called "I'm Here Alone."
This bar room reminds me of heaven and hell, the low and the lonely, the sick and the well. My guitar reminds me I'm on my own. Something reminds me I'm here alone. The smoke to the ceiling reminds me of hell. That Sunday school teacher reminds me I fell. The sign in the mirror reminds me of dawn. Something reminds me I'm here alone. The waitress reminds me of a page from the past, of love that was wanted, of love that don't last. The sign that says exit reminds me she's gone, but something reminds me I'm here alone. The restroom reminds me of a child in bare feet. I was walking in clover, now it's barley and wheat. Someone got sick, trying to get stoned. Something reminds me I'm here alone. Bartender reminds me of a man by a well. I'll drink no grape juice where there's booze for sale. When I think of a graveyard, each face is a stone. Something reminds me I'm here alone.
So this next song was recorded right here in this space on this piano, and I had Dirk Powell play this piano for this recording that you're about to hear. Let's see. Also had Susie Ragsdale singing on this, and I was playing a guitar, and so I think we're the ones who just cut it like that, and then I added Dennis Crouch on the upright bass again, and then all my brothers on vocals. So understand that I added my brothers actually after Dad passed away. So he passed away in 2011, and I knew I wanted my brothers on this recording while they weren't on the first recording of This Weary Way. I knew that was going to be one distinction between the two records, is that they were going to be on this record. And so I got them to sing background vocals on this song here. It's called I'm Gonna Be Gone for a While, and it's a pretty strong drinking song. Alcoholism showed up for my dad really probably by his mid-30s. Prior to that, he really wasn't a drinker. But after that, once he kind of caught on to it, he kind of stayed with it. And it was a pretty strong and affecting addiction that he had toward it. And what would happen in his songwriting was he would be conscious of his drinking and his over drinking, and he would write about it. And so that's a thread that runs into my dad's writing, is in essence the shame or the guilt about being so strongly addicted basically to booze. There is a tradition in country music to where of drinking songs. And my dad wrote his fair share of drinking songs. He was really good at it because he was also really good at drinking, but he was really good at seeing the guilt and the shame about it and bring it into songs. And this is a really good example of it. And it's called I'm Gonna Be Gone for a While.
Somewheres between that First Baptist Church, this last cold drink of wine, I lost my mind, my wife and my child. I'm gonna be gone for a while. As I pour a drink got someone to thank, and it ain't been the Lord for a while. Old Taylor, old Crow, old Granddad, we know I'm gonna be gone for a while. I'm going back when my trouble began. You are my friends, lost weekends. Old Taylor, old Crow, old Granddad, we know I'm gonna be gone for a while. My trouble begin. You are my friends through lost weekends. Old Taylor, old Crow, old Granddad, we know I'm gonna be gone for a while. Be gone for a while.
Hello, we are back, and we're going to continue with Wayne's Pain and me talking track by track about the recording and some just brief memories of some of this stuff. So a lot of it was recorded right here in this house, in my father's house. And some of it, that's where we started, was right here. And literally right here, like the musicians right there. Kenny Malone, for one of the songs he played on, was over there. Dennis Crouch here, me on pedal steel on the first song. Verlin Thompson was over there on mandolin. For the song It's the Whiskey That Eases the Pain. The very first song I did of Dad's in recording was this song I'm telling you about. Guy Clark was right there, and my dad was next to Guy. Dirk Powell was here playing accordion, so that's how many people we had on the very first session. And the reason I'm telling you this is because my dad didn't want to do the recordings. He said when I had this idea about, you know what, I've been in Nashville 10 years now. I know how to record. I know who to call for engineering, who to get on instruments, and all that kind of stuff I had learned because I was in a lot of sessions here, started working in Guy Clark albums and Music Row stuff and publishing company as a player, but I was also writing. And so I had learned how to do this stuff. And so I wanted to record Dad doing his songs. So I called him up one time and said, Dad, I want to record you doing your songs. And he fought me on it. Basically, he said, no. I'm too old. I'm over the hill. My voice, I can't even sing anymore or play guitar. And so he was completely ready to just shut it down. And I continued, saying like, Dad, we need you to document these songs while you're alive. We just need you to do these songs and I know how to do this stuff, and I'll make it nice and easy for us. And so that's why I'm describing this scene here, is because that was my first session with Dad, was It's the Whiskey That Eases the Pain with Guy Clark. And once Dad came down and did that, I cooked food that, there was food all over the place, good, cooking and this and that. And it was more of a party atmosphere at a house rather than a studio kind of sweating bullets, kind of nervous, Nelly kind of stuff. And I did that on purpose so Dad would be comfortable here. So basically, once I got Dad to do that one recording, and I'm telling you, he's like 70 years old by this time, something like that. And then we started then to record over the next couple of years, because I'd picked his songs and I knew how to do this. And but they started right here in this house with the people I just told you about. And then after we did a few of those kind of sessions, I started getting a recording studio down in Nashville. And Dad by then was already on, so I didn't have to sort of warm him up to the idea he was in. Anytime I could get together these people to record his songs, he was totally in. Once I got him, I had him. And the next song is kind of an upper song. Dad has plenty of downer type songs, perhaps. But this one has a really cool tempo and feel and groove to it. And it's called I Want to Be Ready When the Night Comes. So again, it kind of reflects back to my dad's drinking. Nighttime, of course, was the drinking time. And so that's what this song is talking about. We have my brother Denny on electric guitar on this thing. Doug Moore's on electric guitar. Casey Dreesen on fiddle again, Dennis Crouch. And particularly on this track, I have my brother David Scott on piano. And David was really influenced by two folks particularly, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Killer, on piano, and then Leon Russell on piano. So that's where my brother David was coming from as a piano player. Both great places to get inspiration as a piano player. So David's on this recording as well. And Dale is on drums again. And Dennis Crouch is on bass for this thing. So when we did this recording, we did it in a studio in Nashville. And I told Dad, I knew the next take was kind of going to be the one. And so I coached Dad, just before we did it, after we'd tried it a couple of times, whatever, everybody's ready to go, the next run through is going to be it. I said, hey, Dad, at the end, just give us a little ad-lib narrative. Just talk. It doesn't matter what you say, but just talk whatever you feel like at the end. And you'll hear that at the end of this song. When he refers to Canada, that he's up in Canada, what that's a reference to is he loved Canadian whiskey. That was his drink. That was what he liked. That's what he repeated. And so when he's talking about Canada at the end, it's Canadian whiskey. So have a listen to this. It's called I Want to Be Ready. Oh, also, it's all my brothers singing the backgrounds. We're doing a quasi Nashville men's quartet type of sound, like on Elvis records, or, we don't, it's not as good as those guys, but that's the kind of style we were going for on that. So that's me and all my brothers singing oohs and ahs or whatever into this thing, and Brother David on the piano. Have a listen. I Want to Be Ready.
Wanna be ready when the night comes. Wanna be ready before the sun is gone. Wanna be ready to be real lonesome. I wanna be ready, yes, I wanna be ready when the night comes. I'm passing through this lonesome valley. The days are long, the nights are slow. Let me tell you about the people. What they moan, they groan, they look real sad with their heads about low. I wanna be ready when the night comes. Wanna be ready before the sun is gone. I wanna be ready to be real lonesome. Wanna be ready, yes, I wanna be ready when the night comes. Man, that's pretty. I wanna climb up on that steeple, ask the people if there's some place I could run. I need some help here. Where is the preacher? Where's the priest? Where is the deacon? Where is the nun? I wanna be ready when the night comes. Wanna be ready before the sun is gone. I wanna be ready to be real lonesome. I wanna be ready, yes, I wanna be ready when the night comes. I wanna be ready, yes, I wanna be ready when the night comes. Hey, I wanna be ready. I'm usually way up in Canada this time of night, having a good old time. See y'all.
If you need a crutch, don't try to walk with a cane. Yeah, my dad started using a cane in the last few years of his life. And he'd home make one. He'd take a cane, just a common cane, and he'd put a different end on it. This one has fallen off, but he could rig up his own ends so that they were a little more grippy and stuff like that. So thanks for tuning in at my father's house. And we're going to continue talking about Wayne's Pain, the second installment of recordings that I started with Dad in early 2000s. It might even been late 1990s. I don't even remember. But I know our first record came out in 2005 called This Weary Way. I had this second record in the can, at least tracked, and I knew what I wanted to do was to add my brothers to it. And it took, my dad dying in 2011, and I probably got my brothers, I'm just guessing, in 2012 or 13 or something like that. Well, here we are in 2025, and I'm just now finished with mixing and overdubbing and everything. I don't have a good reason why it's taken so long. That's the time it took. And we're going to continue this same idea next time. So thanks for coming down the rabbit hole. And thanks to Abraham, who is producing this and editing it and making it to where you can see this. I hope you appreciate it. See you next time.